Demon Slayer, a series that I heard a lot about, but didn't get into for a long time. I had several reasons. Firstly, the ending of Naruto just happened to coincide with the ending of my time in high school, so a lot of my energy shifted from reading manga to figuring out what I wanted to do with my life. And then when I finally figured that out, that being a nurse, I then had to further focus all of my time and energy into becoming that. Pre-nursing in nursing school was difficult and a blast, but when it came to everything outside of that, I got very behind. I got behind on movies, I got behind on music, I got behind on video games, I got behind on all of the latest trends. The thing that I got the most behind on was on one of my favorite interests, that being manga and anime. But that didn't stop my ear from picking up some things. I learned that Dragon Ball was coming back with a series called Dragon Ball Super, One Punch Man was awesome and the anime is great, there existed a series called My Hero Academia about a world full of superheroes, and then there's this one series out there that's simply called Demon Slayer. For some reason, Demon Slayer was selling faster than hotcakes on a Sunday morning. This fact piqued my interest, but still I had to focus on my schoolwork. I was behind about 2.5 years, but with enough time, I started catching up, and I finally started reading Demon Slayer. As I began reading it, I came to understand why this one series managed to outcompete the entire American comic book industry. It made a lot of sense. My name is Tyler, and this is why Demon Slayer is gold. Let's begin with some background information. What is Demon Slayer? Demon Slayer is a manga, or a Japanese comic book series, centering around a character named Tanjiro. A tragedy strikes Tanjiro's family, leaving only his younger sister and himself as the sole survivors. Unfortunately, Tanjiro's younger sister, Nezuko, did not go unscathed. From this tragedy, Nezuko has become a demon. After fighting against his demon-stained sister, and fighting against the demon slayer that wants to kill her, Tanjiro is given only one path forward: become a demon slayer. Through the path of a demon slayer, Tanjiro may again cross paths with the demon that killed his mother and siblings, the demon that transformed his sister from a human to a monster, and the demon that is responsible for all the other demons in the world. For it is only through this one demon that Tanjiro's sister Nezuko may return back to human once again, and it is only through this demon that Tanjiro may avenge both his family and the families of all those that have suffered by its hands as well. That is the plot of Demon Slayer. Now, my first impression on the plot was that it felt pretty standard, like it was the plot from a past era. Like if I opened up one of my Shonen Jump manga volumes, I could have easily found Demon Slayer along the likes of Naruto, One Piece, Dragon Ball, or even Yu-Gi-Oh! So when it comes to the plot, it doesn't feel like part of the modern era. It feels like it's part of the past era. An era that's way different than what we have right now. The modern Shonen Jump era is of the likes of My Hero Academia, Jujutsu Kaisen, Black Clover, and Dr. Stone. There are also other series such as Dragon Ball Super, Mashle, Magic and Muscles, one of my personal favorites, and One Punch Man, and even One Piece is still around, but those aren't at the forefront. Dragon Ball Super and One Piece are continuations of a past era, albeit an era I grew up with and enjoy a lot, but they are not the shining stars of Shonen Jump anymore, and they aren't really anything new. And that's something that I want to stress. So series like One Piece, Bleach, Fairy Tail, Naruto, Yu-Gi-Oh!, Yu Yu Hakusho, those are all series that I feel are part of a past era, a golden era, if you will. Right now, I felt that we were in the silver age of Japanese comics, but then I read Demon Slayer, and that just put all my thoughts up in the air. Now, just to make a comparison, Marvel Comics, DC Comics, Detective Comics, if you will, we are far past their golden era. But their characters are way more popular than they've ever been, with their movies, with their TV shows, with their animations, all of it. So just because something's popular now doesn't mean that it's in its golden era. And with manga and anime, with it, especially with the comics, the manga, outselling Marvel Comics, DC Comics, the American comic book industry combined, it is way more popular than it's ever been. That doesn't mean that it's in the golden era, but that's still a point to bring up. So going back to Demon Slayer though, when I was reading it, I felt that we were in the Silver Age, but then I read it and then I'm thinking, wait a minute, this doesn't seem right. This seems like something from a golden era. So I have a lot of thoughts about this. So the only way to go forward with this is if we take a dive. So let's jump right to it. A shonen jump. Alright, so we went through the basic plot of the story, but now let's explore a more complex picture. The first thing that I want to point out is the first panel of the whole series. How did this happen? This is simple and brilliant. You see a kid heavy breathing, you see that he's holding a gal with blood coming out of her head, and all you're thinking about is already spelled out. What the fuck is going on? Then one page later we get a full spread, and it's awesome. We have already got into the action, we got a mystery on our hands, and we're already hooked in. At least, that's how I felt. After our hook into the series, we go back a bit in the story and we see where it all began. We have our main boy Tanjiro here, and he's gearing up to go into town to sell some charcoal. With his father deceased, Tanjiro is now butting into the man of the household, and with it comes a lot of responsibility. He wants to be able to feed his family, of which is greatly composed of his mother and his siblings. Tanjiro goes into town to sell some charcoal, and it's here that we see that our boy is no ordinary boy. So, Tanjiro has a unique smelling ability. Yeah, somehow Tanjiro has the superhuman ability of smell. Although it may seem kind of pointless, it will turn out to be very important in Tanjiro's journey. Anyway, the sun begins to set, and a villager warns Tanjiro not to return home while the sun does not shine, as demons will come out. It's here that we learn that Tanjiro doesn't believe in demons, but that will soon change. As fate would have it, the villager that told Tanjiro to remain with him for the night saved Tanjiro's life. When Tanjiro returns to his home, we see that his family has been massacred. The only survivor that our boy can tell is his sister Nezuko. It's here that our boy discovers that his sister, although alive, is no longer human. She has become a demon, intent on eating him. Thankfully or unthankfully, a demon slayer appears, attempts to kill Nezuko, and then confronts the weak Tanjiro. Tanjiro is easily defeated, but when the demon slayer discovers that the case in front of him is not what he's used to seeing, he decides to offer Tanjiro a different path forward. The demon slayer, from his years of experience, knows how demons interact with the human race. However, he's never seen a demon, such as Nezuko, act the way she has, protecting her brother. When Tanjiro awakens, a demon slayer informs him to meet a man who lives at the foot of Mount Sagiri, and with that, the demon slayer disappears. Tanjiro and his sister pay their respects for their departed family members, and then away they go. Now, while Tanjiro was asleep when confronting the demon slayer, one of my favorite aspects of the series occurred. While asleep, Tanjiro's deceased family members sit at his side, concerned for his well-being. This aspect of the afterlife, of the deceased, of interacting, encouraging, and being concerned for their living family members, it's an aspect that we don't see too often in other series. It's something that's wholesome and spiritual. It's something that I really like. What comes to mind is when Bruce Wayne falls to the ground from poisoning and exhaustion in Arkham City, and then his deceased parents appear from the afterlife, encouraging him to step into the light. This feeling that those closest to you are still looking over you, even though they have passed, is something that I like, and something that I think resonates with a lot of other people as well. It's something that warms my heart in Arkham City, and it's something that warms my heart in Demon Slayer. The next thing that happens is the meeting of the man who will guide Tanjiro onto the path of the Demon Slayer. Once he has obtained a basket to properly guard his sister from the sun, our boy then begins his travel to Mount Sagiri. However, it is halted when he is confronted by a demon. Even after cutting off the demon's head, the demon still lives. Our boy is about to stab it in its head when the teacher arrives. The teacher's name is Urokodakai. The sun then arrives and takes care of the demon for our boy, who had no idea how to kill the demon. Urokodakai then begins his test for Tanjiro. Now this is where we have something else that I really like about this series, and that's the tests, trials, and tribulations that Tanjiro has to go through in order to become a competent warrior. Some heroes are born especially gifted, and in many ways which we will discover later on, so is Tanjiro. However, unlike other protagonists, Tanjiro starts out as a real weakling. He doesn't practice swordsmanship, he doesn't practice hand-to-hand combat, he doesn't even practice basic athletics. The only thing that our boy really has that is unique is the dance of the fire god that he witnessed being performed by his father. Besides that, Tanjiro's athleticism is composed of basic lifting, carrying, and climbing. He is a young man, characteristic of his time. That is to say that he has a lot of learning to do that isn't just composed of doing more push-ups every day. After chasing Urokodakai and becoming exhausted, he's then given his test. His test is to descend the mountain and arrive to his teacher's home. Tired and finding it hard to breathe, our boy is confronted by numerous traps until he finally reaches his new teacher's home. Tanjiro then begins his training, which we get to see in great detail. He continues his ascents and descents down the mountain with greater and greater traps confronting him. He learns how to wield a katana and he practices with it every day. He fights against his master in order to gain combat experience, and he learns how to breathe like a warrior. All of this happens in the span of a year. Not a week, not a month, not 6 months, a whole fucking year. Oh, wait a minute. Sorry, it's even longer than that. After about a year of training, our boy's teacher gives him his final test. Cut a giant rock in half. He tries for 6 months, but he's unable to do it. He's then confronted by 2 other supposed students of Irakodakai. One named Sabito beats him up, and the other named Makomo points out his faults. 6 months pass, Tanjiro finally defeats Sabito, and inexplicably, he has found that he has split the boulder. After 2 years of training, our boy has finally reached the ability needed to become a demon slayer. Tanjiro trains for 2 years. 2 years doing nothing but being completely dedicated to becoming a competent warrior. This is awesome. Like, for real. After we see what our protagonist has gone through and for how long, I actually believe that he has become capable of facing against the threat that is as serious as the threat is of demons against humankind. And this is important. It's important that you actually believe in your heroes, because if you don't believe that the heroes are actually as capable of facing against the threats in front of them, everything feels cheapened. Whenever they face against a threat and then conquer it, you don't celebrate, you're not happy for them, you just get pissed off because you don't believe it. You don't believe that they actually were able to do it. And just as a side note, for example, the one manga that comes to mind is Fairy Tail. Now, no offense to anybody that likes Fairy Tail, but after a while of reading Fairy Tail, I just really got pissed off because I just didn't believe in the characters were actually as competent or as strong as the story was trying. Again, trying, not well written, trying to tell me that they were. Whenever they would face a threat and then overcome it due to the ever-present power of friendship, I just got pissed off over and over and over again that I had to stop reading it. So that's an example of where if you have a story that doesn't present the characters as being as capable as they're trying to, you get pissed off. Thankfully, with Demon Slayer, that problem does not exist here. You will believe that the characters are as capable and as strong as the author is trying to convey. Also, those 2 supposed other students of Irakodakai, guess what? They were dead the whole time. That means that even though they have passed from the living, they still guided our boy into becoming a better warrior. Again, the aspect of the afterlife guiding our heroes is present once again. That's freaking awesome. Another thing of importance to note is information that Irakodakai gives to Tanjiro sometime during his training. Irakodakai reveals that the person responsible for massacring Tanjiro's family and transforming his sister into a demon is in fact Muzan Kibutsuji, the first man to become a demon, and also the same being that cursed Kagaya's family. Only through confronting Muzan may Tanjiro be able to gain the information necessary to transform his sister back into a mortal. But to even get to the point of crossing paths with Muzan, the only way forward that would lead to such a point would be the path of the Demon Slayer. So, it shows that avenging his family is not all that motivates Tanjiro. Tanjiro is also wanting to get justice in the form of returning his sister back to human form. Anyway, now complete in his training, our boy Tani arrives to the final selection exam. To pass, each Demon Slayer must survive in an area inhabited by captured demons for 7 days, or die trying. For our boy though, it becomes more personal for him than for the other prospective Demon Slayers. He encounters a demon that was not just captured by his master Irakodakai when he was in his youth, but a demon that has killed many of his master's previous students, including Sabito and Makomo. So the importance of the final selection exam isn't just about Tanjiro becoming a Demon Slayer. It's also about overcoming a challenge deeply connected to all the people that have trained him into becoming a warrior. It's about not just following their path, but forging a new path that succeeds past his teachers. It's about facing against the threat in order to defeat it, avenge those that have taught him, and to honor those that have brought him so far. Basically, the final selection exam is about a lot of things, and that's why it's awesome. Using what he has learned, Tani slays the demon that has haunted his sword lineage, and he has now become a Demon Slayer. Of those that entered into the final selection exam, only Tanjiro and 3 others have passed. For some reason though, a crow tells the leader of the Demon Slayer Corps that 5 survived. I couldn't find any answers why it says 5 here, so I guess it's a mistake? Oh yeah, I just brought up the leader of the Demon Slayer Corps, and there's this thing about a crow. What's that about? Well, I'll tell you. The Demon Slayer Corps organization is very mysterious and interesting. They are an ancient order, which its origins is lost to the annals of history. What we do know is that the organization is probably thousands of years old, and although not officially recognized from the government, they are well aware of its existence. At one point, a prominent family became involved in the Demon Slayer Corps. This family is the family of the current Demon Slayer leader, Kagaya. What occurred to make this family so connected to the Demon Slayer Corps was that supposedly a family member of theirs became a demon, and from that a curse was put onto their bloodline. That supposed demon happens to be the man that became the first demon, and the person responsible for massacring Tanjiro's family and transforming Nezuko into a demon, Muzan. Kagaya's ancestors were told by a priest this information, and in order to combat the curse, they must dedicate their souls to eradicating this demon. And what was the curse? Well, the curse put onto the bloodline was one that made the family weak and approaching death at an early age. It is only through the dedication to eradicate their demon family member that they have gained more life, although only up to 30 years for each member. In addition, a curse mark is present, at least we know of it to present itself on the leader Kagaya. The curse mark is present on Kagaya's head at the beginning of the series, but as the series goes on, it will spread. Each family member is expected to devote their entire life for the Demon Slayer Corps. Kagaya himself became the leader of the Demon Slayer Corps at age 4, or at least according to Kimetsu no Yaiba's second official fanbook, and Kagaya's children are also prominent in the administration of the Demon Slayer Corps at an early age. In fact, we see 2 of his children administering the final selection exam that Tanjiro enters. Oh, and what about the crows? The crows carry orders to each Demon Slayer Corps member. They inform them of each mission and where to go. For one of the guys at the final selection exam with Tanny, he gets a sparrow instead of a crow for some reason. Keep this guy in mind. He'll come up later. Next, we have Tanjiro's wayward trip home, and in fact completing a mini-hero's journey. He returns with the strength and title of a Demon Slayer, and with his return, he is rewarded with the return of his sister and his master. After about 2 weeks, a man arrives to Tanjiro's master's home, and with him he delivers his Demon Slayer commissioned sword, his Demon Slayer commissioned uniform, and a box to carry his sister along with him for his journey. From here, Tanjiro now set out to his first mission, but for us, we'll halt here for now. Now, to give all you guys some insight, there are over 200 chapters of Demon Slayer, and I've covered probably about 10 of them. So, I have a lot to say about this series. I fully intend to flesh out as much as possible, because, honestly, I have a lot to say. This series is a literal goldmine. Pun intended.